What if the person you trusted most was plotting your end? In a quiet Texas suburb, Michelle Williams dialed 911, her voice shaking as she begged for help, claiming her husband Greg had taken his own life. But the scene was too perfect, the gun too neatly placed, her tears too rehearsed. Beneath her grief lay a web of lies, an affair, and a chilling plan that unraveled a family. What drove a wife to betray everything? The truth is darker than you think, and it's only the beginning. A suburb shattered. Keller, Texas, is the epitome of suburban tranquility, with its tree-lined streets, manicured lawns, and tight-knit community. Located in Tarrant County, it's a place where families thrive, children play freely, and crime is a distant concern. But on October 13, 2011, this idyllic setting became the stage for a tragedy that would captivate the nation. At 400 Jacob Lane, in the heart of the Twin Lakes subdivision, Gregory and Michelle Williams lived what appeared to be a perfect life. Gregory, a 40-year-old hardware store manager, was known for his warm smile and unwavering devotion to his two daughters. Michelle, 38, a dental hygienist, was charming and sociable, often hosting neighborhood barbecues and volunteering at local events. Their 15-year marriage seemed idyllic, until a single gunshot shattered everything. At 4:40 a.m., a frantic 911 call pierced the early morning calm. "My husband, he's dead. I think he shot himself," Michelle Williams sobbed into the phone. But her initial account was different. She claimed an intruder had broken into their home, attacked her with a wrench, and shot Gregory. As police arrived, they found Michelle standing in the front yard, her face bruised, tears streaming down her cheeks. Inside, Gregory lay dead in their bedroom, a single gunshot wound to his head. What began as a reported suicide quickly morphed into a chilling tale of murder, deceit, and greed, unraveling a web of lies that would shock the community and leave a family in ruins. The 911 call, a scene too perfect. The emergency call came in the pre-dawn hours, with Michelle's voice trembling as she spoke to the dispatcher. "My husband, he's dead. I think he shot himself," she cried, her words punctuated by sobs. But her initial story was different. She had first claimed that an intruder had broken in, struck her with a wrench, and shot her husband. When police arrived at the Williams lavish home in the Twin Lakes subdivision, they found Michelle in the front yard, her face bearing a small bruise, claiming she had been attacked. Inside, the scene was eerily calm. Gregory lay in bed, a .45 caliber handgun in his left hand, despite being right-handed. The bedroom was pristine, no signs of a struggle, no broken windows or doors. The thermostat was set to 78 degrees, unusually high for a cool fall morning, raising suspicions that it was an attempt to skew the time of death by accelerating decomposition. Detective John McGrew, one of the first responders, immediately sensed something was off. "The whole thing felt staged," he later recalled. "It was too clean, too perfect. No crime scene looks like this." Michelle's demeanor also raised red flags. While she appeared distraught, her tears seemed rehearsed, and her stories began to shift under questioning. First, she claimed an intruder had attacked them. Then, she said Gregory had committed suicide, and she had fabricated the intruder story to protect their young daughter, M.W., from the truth. But the inconsistencies piled up, and the Keller Police Department, inexperienced with murder cases, began to suspect foul play. Sergeant McGrew noted, her stories didn't add up. She was too calm for someone who had just lost her husband. The investigation. Unraveling the lies. The Keller Police Department, led by Sergeant John McGrew, launched a thorough investigation into Gregory's death. From the start, they were skeptical of Michelle's accounts. The lack of forced entry, the absence of any signs of an intruder, and the peculiar placement of the gun all pointed to something more sinister. A K-9 unit found no scent of an outsider in the home, and the only sign of a struggle was a small mark on Michelle's forehead, which she claimed was from the intruder's wrench. Forensic analysis provided critical clues. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner's report ruled Gregory's death a homicide, stating that the gunshot wound was inconsistent with a self-inflicted shot. The bullet's trajectory and the absence of gunpowder residue on Gregory's hands suggested that someone else had fired the gun. Blood spatter patterns indicated that the shot had been fired from 16 to 18 inches away, not point-blank as in a suicide. A trace evidence examiner testified that no gunshot residue was found on Michelle's hands, but residue was present on Gregory's hands and one of her jackets, raising questions about her involvement. Michelle's behavior during police interviews was equally suspicious. She was calm and composed, almost rehearsed, when recounting the events. Her explanations for the discrepancies in her stories were unconvincing, and her lack of genuine emotion stood out. She was too calm for someone who had just lost her husband, Detective McGrew noted. It was like she was reading from a script. During one interrogation, after being pressed repeatedly by McGrew, Michelle changed her story, admitting that Gregory had committed suicide and that she had cleaned the scene to make it look like a murder to protect their daughter. But the medical examiner's report contradicted this, and the police grew more suspicious. As the investigation deepened, detectives uncovered Michelle's secret life. She had been having an affair with Andrew, a dentist she met at a conference. Text messages between them revealed her growing dissatisfaction with her marriage. "I'm trapped here. I need out," she had written to Andrew, who promised her a life of luxury and excitement. Financial records showed that Michelle had accumulated $30,000 in credit card debt, buying designer clothes and jewelry, and had taken out a $650,000 life insurance policy on Gregory just 3 months before his death. The policy had a suicide clause, meaning that if Gregory committed suicide within 2 years, the payout would be void. This provided a clear motive. Michelle stood to gain a substantial amount of money if Gregory's death was ruled a homicide. Further evidence came from neighbors and witnesses. A neighbor reported seeing Michelle's car leave the house at 7:30 a.m. and return an hour later, contradicting her claim that she had been home all morning folding laundry. Security footage from a nearby Walmart showed her purchasing bleach and gloves 2 days before the murder, items that could be used to clean up a crime scene. A gas station clerk provided footage of Michelle buying a box of gloves at 6:30 a.m. on the day of the murder, appearing calm and collected. A co-worker at the dental office tipped off police about Michelle's odd behavior, recalling how she had asked about cleaning bloodstains, passing it off as a hypothetical question for a TV show. Most damning was Michelle's laptop search history, which included queries like how to stage a suicide, gunshot wounds, and fast-acting poisons. These weren't random curiosities. They were a roadmap to murder. One chilling piece of evidence came from Gregory himself. Hours before his death, he called his brother, sounding shaken. "Michelle's acting weird," he said. "If something happens to me, don't believe her story." This call left investigators with a haunting question. Did Gregory suspect his wife was planning his demise? The police also discovered a neighbor's security camera that captured a car pulling into the Williams driveway at 7:15 a.m., just before Michelle's supposed laundry time. It wasn't hers or Gregory's, and the lack of clear plates made it a mystery, until cell tower pings later placed Andrew at the scene, suggesting he was more than just a bystander. Michelle's background. A pattern of deception. To understand what drove Michelle Williams to such extremes, it's necessary to look at her past. Born Michelle Zahn, she had a tumultuous personal life before meeting Gregory. Her first marriage ended in divorce, with allegations of abuse that were later disputed by her ex-husband. Her second marriage also dissolved, leaving her a single mother of 3 children, including sons Andrew and Lee O'Brien from previous relationships. When she met Gregory at a college party, he was immediately drawn to her charisma and beauty. They married in 2008, and for a time, their life seemed idyllic. 2 daughters, a comfortable home, and a respected place in the community. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Friends described Michelle as magnetic but manipulative, able to charm anyone but quick to turn cold when things didn't go her way. Her co-workers at the dental office noted her ruthless streak, recalling how she could lie without blinking to get what she wanted. By 2010, Gregory confided in a co-worker that Michelle was growing distant, spending late nights out and hiding her phone. He suspected she was having an affair but chose to ignore it, hoping their marriage could be salvaged. Little did he know that Michelle's dissatisfaction had already spiraled into something far more dangerous. Michelle's history of deceit extended beyond her marriage. Her sons, Andrew and Lee, later spoke to 48 Hours about her pattern of manipulation, noting that she had a history of fabricating stories to suit her needs. She had accused her first husband of abuse, claims that were later disproven, and her previous husbands were unanimous in their views of her infidelity. This pattern of deception would become central to the case against her, painting her as a woman who would stop at nothing to achieve her goals. The affair, a catalyst for murder. Michelle's affair with Andrew was more than just an escape, it was a lifeline to a different life. Andrew, a successful dentist, promised her the luxury and excitement she craved, things Gregory's modest salary as a hardware store manager couldn't provide. Their relationship was intense, filled with passionate texts and secret meetings. In one message, Michelle wrote, "I can't do this anymore. I need a way out." Andrew encouraged her to leave Gregory, but Michelle hesitated, perhaps because she saw Gregory's death as a more lucrative solution. The affair gave Michelle a motive to eliminate Gregory, especially with the large life insurance policy in place. With Gregory out of the way, she could collect the insurance money and start a new life with Andrew. But as the investigation revealed, Michelle's plans went far beyond a simple affair. She was willing to kill to achieve her goals. The mysterious car in the driveway, later identified as Andrew's, suggested he may have played a role in the murder, though he claimed he was merely her ride and unaware of her plans. Cell tower pings placed him at the scene at 7:15 a.m., minutes before the 911 call, casting doubt on his innocence. The trial, a battle of stories. The trial of Michelle Williams began in September 2014, 3 years after Gregory's death, and it was a media spectacle that gripped Keller and beyond. The prosecution, led by Tarrant County Deputy Chief District Attorney Jack Strickland, presented a mountain of evidence against Michelle, including forensic reports, witness testimonies, and her own inconsistent statements. "This woman killed her husband in cold blood," Strickland told the jury in closing arguments. "She shot him in the head at point-blank range while her daughter slept just feet away." One of the most damning pieces of evidence was the testimony of Michelle's son, Andrew O'Brien. He revealed that his mother had asked him to help frame Gregory's ex-wife, Kathy, for the murder by planting a gunpowder-laced sweater in her car. Andrew, then 26, testified that he was shocked by the request but thought his mother was having a mental breakdown. He refused to comply, suspecting her involvement in Gregory's death. His brother, Lee O'Brien, also spoke out, telling 2020 that Michelle had suggested he might have been the triggerman, further illustrating her willingness to manipulate even her own children. The prosecution presented forensic evidence that contradicted Michelle's suicide claim. The gun's placement in Gregory's left hand, the blood spatter indicating a distant shot, and the absence of gunpowder residue on his hands all pointed to murder. Michelle's laptop search history, how to stage a suicide, gunshot wounds, fast-acting poisons, was a roadmap to her crime. Financial records revealed her $30,000 credit card debt and the $650,000 life insurance policy, which had a suicide clause. Prosecutors argued that Michelle killed Gregory to collect the insurance money and start a new life with Andrew. The defense, led by attorney Clay Graham, argued that Gregory had committed suicide, citing his recent losses, including the death of his grandmother and his use of unprescribed steroids, which can lead to depression. Greg Williams experienced loss and grief upon loss and grief, all while impaired by a highly dangerous drug, Graham told the jury. But the medical examiner's report ruled out suicide, stating that the gunshot wound was not self-inflicted. The jury also heard about Michelle's behavior while out on bond, including allegations of faking a pregnancy, tampering with her GPS monitor, and taking a secret beach vacation with Andrew, which painted her as unremorseful and manipulative. After 7 hours of deliberation, the jury found Michelle guilty of murder and 1 count of tampering with evidence, acquitting her of a second tampering charge related to moving Gregory's body. On September 30, 2014, State District Judge George Gallagher sentenced her to 60 years in prison for the murder charge and 10 years for tampering, to be served concurrently. As the verdict was read, Michelle showed no emotion, her cold demeanor a stark contrast to the tears of Gregory's family. His mother, Betty Middlebrooks, delivered a powerful victim impact statement. "Michelle, Greg loved and trusted you with his life and business. Now he won't be able to see his daughters grow up." The aftermath, a legacy of pain. In the wake of the trial, Michelle's lack of remorse became evident. A month after her conviction, a jailhouse letter she wrote was leaked online, revealing her chilling indifference. "I don't regret it. Greg was dragging me down," she wrote. She even hinted at another plan, mentioning someone else who knew too much, though it's unclear whether she was referring to Andrew or another individual. The letter exploded on social media, cementing her nickname as the Keller Black Widow, and shocking those who had hoped for some sign of regret. The case had a profound impact on the Williams family. Gregory's daughters, now teenagers, are being raised by their aunt, carrying the weight of their father's murder and their mother's betrayal. "You destroyed your family as well as ours," Betty Middlebrooks told Michelle in her victim impact statement, her voice breaking as jurors wiped away tears. The community of Keller was also shaken, grappling with the realization that such darkness could exist in their quiet suburb. The Williams home on Jacob Lane stands empty, a haunting reminder of a life that could have been. Michelle's behavior while out on bond further illustrated her lack of remorse. She was accused of faking a pregnancy, tampering with her GPS monitor, and taking a beach vacation with Andrew, all while awaiting sentencing. These actions, combined with her attempts to frame others, painted a picture of a woman obsessed with image and control, willing to manipulate anyone to achieve her goals. As of 2025, Michelle Williams remains incarcerated, serving her 60-year sentence at a Texas state prison. She will be eligible for parole in 2044, when she will be 76 years old. Given her lack of remorse and the severity of her crime, it's unlikely she will be granted parole anytime soon. A 2021 petition on blockparole.com argued that releasing her would be an injustice to Gregory's family and a risk to the public, citing her refusal to accept full responsibility for her actions. A mysterious connection: the death of Bryn Fletcher. Adding another layer of intrigue to the case is Michelle Williams' connection to the suspicious death of her brother-in-law, Bryn Fletcher, in 2010. Bryn, married to Michelle Fletcher, was found dead in his car, a bullet wound piercing the space between his eyes. The Ellis County Sheriff's Office swiftly classified it as a suicide, but the medical examiner's report introduced unsettling discrepancies that cast doubt on the official ruling. According to the police, Bryn shot himself in the right eye using his right hand, yet the medical examiner pinpointed the wound to the center of his forehead. More perplexing, Bryn was left-handed, a detail that made the reported mechanics of a self-inflicted shot seem improbable. These inconsistencies gnawed at Bryn's widow, Michelle Fletcher, Gregory's sister, who voiced her skepticism in an interview with 48 Hours. "I never believed Bryn killed himself," she insisted, her doubts amplified by Michelle Williams' actions following the death. Williams took charge of the aftermath, arranging for Bryn's body to be cremated just one day after the suicide ruling, a move Michelle Fletcher found suspiciously rushed. "She had my husband cremated so fast, the ink hadn't even dried on his autopsy report," she recalled. Williams also managed the funeral paperwork, an act initially perceived as support but later viewed as a potential effort to erase evidence. Family members began to whisper about Williams' possible involvement, though no concrete evidence ever surfaced to implicate her. Reflection: the cost of greed. The story of Michelle Williams is a tragic tale of greed, betrayal, and murder. It serves as a stark reminder that even in the most seemingly perfect lives, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. Michelle's actions were driven by a desire for a better life, fueled by her affair with Andrew and her financial troubles. The $650,000 life insurance policy, combined with her $30,000 credit card debt, provided a clear motive, and her meticulous planning, evidenced by her search history and purchases, showed a chilling level of calculation. For those left behind, the pain is immeasurable. Gregory's daughters will grow up without their father, knowing that their mother was responsible for his death. The community of Keller will forever remember the case as a cautionary tale about the dangers of trusting appearances. The case also highlights the power of circumstantial evidence in securing a conviction, even without direct DNA proof. Michelle's lack of remorse, as seen in her leaked letter, adds a chilling layer, suggesting a deeper psychological complexity that may never be fully understood. The Michelle Williams case raises broader questions about trust, betrayal, and the lengths to which people will go to escape their circumstances. It's a story that resonates beyond Keller, reminding us that secrets, once uncovered, can never be buried again. As the Williams home stands empty, a ghost of a life that could have been, the community moves on, but the scars remain. Like, subscribe, and also press the bell icon.